Welcome to Thinking Re-envisioned with your host, Henry G. Noel. I guess you could say he's standing conventional wisdom on its head. Here's Henry.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Transitional Radio's Thinking Re-envisioned. My name is Henry Noel, and I am your host for Thinking Re-envisioned, and we are here to make you think. We're here to make you question everything. I wish to thank you for joining me this, Monday evening, and this is our 13th show, so this is fabulous. And we're broadcasting live this evening from our uplink studio in beautiful Cuenca, Ecuador, 2 degrees south of the equator, where we actually have 12 hours of day and 12 hours of night. Kind of nice. And we're into our springtime now, so it's really good. So we are broadcasting live on IPMNation.com and Thinking Re-envisioned's Facebook and YouTube pages. And I wish to thank you, all of our listeners from all over the globe, for listening in. Those listening in on live radio, those listening to our rebroadcasts, and you guys, fly on the wall video listeners. It is great to have you listening in with us. I'd also like to thank our good friends at Wirecast for making it all possible for us to be broadcasting live and globally this evening. So, to all of our listeners who wish to participate in this show, email me at henry@henrygnoel.com. It is my wish to present a show where everyone can be as actively involved in this show as they want. That is what the whole game is about this show. And we trust that you've had an enjoyable Monday so far. And I want to get into the thread, say hi to everybody, and see what's on everybody's mind on this Monday evening. So anyway, thank you guys for joining. I really do appreciate it. So Rita, thanks for being there. Mary, thank you. Marcia, terrific to see you. Thank you so much for joining us. Hello, Mary, right back at you. Joseph, hello, how are you? Greetings and salutations. Wow, to you too. It's great to see you. Let's see. We've got Jamie. Welcome. And thank goodness for my brother, because you wouldn't be seeing me right now if it wasn't for him. So thank you very much. And hi, Jamie. How are you? So right back at you. Mr. John Sell Nottingham. How are you, sir, this evening? Dana Lee, thank you so much for joining us. Wow, it's great to see that icon pop up. How are you guys? You know, we have had interesting stuff going on, I think, in the U.S. As of late. Alice, welcome. It's great to see you. And part of that is an issue that I had come up. I guess it was on an interview, and it dealt with babies, whatever babies are. But it had to do with being gender specific, not identifying or saddling an infant between the ages of 0 and 4 years old to determine whether or not they are which sex they are. They can make that determination, although I can't imagine a 4-year-old making that kind of a decision, but that's what they're saying. And I just wanted to throw out there and get your point of view as to what you think and is it really an issue, or is it just we're making it an issue? And as you know, most of us are parents. I'd be curious as to what you all think about it, because it just seems to be kind of it just seems to be like a non-issue to me. I don't know. I mean, you know, it has. I don't know. Parents can get kind of weird sometimes, I guess. But to me, it's you know, it's we were raised, you know, in a way, and so we deal with those issues. And you know, now all of a sudden we simply can't tell what it is. It's a baby. It's not a baby girl or a baby boy. We got to let them decide when they get to be 4 years old. Anyway, I find that rather interesting. So it just doesn't make any sense to me. But anyway, so that seems to be a push or a thing going on now in the U.S. And I haven't read it anywhere else from any other countries, but I did read it from there, and I thought that was rather interesting. Regina, welcome. It's great to see you. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for tuning in. So yeah, your opinions or whatever else you might want to talk about. You guys can commandeer this show anyway, which way you want to go. So go for it and you know, ask away. Mary says, I think it is yet another attempt to weaken parental rights and choices. The state knows best and wants to tell us what to do. You know, that's true. And yep, utter BS. I got that, Dana. I was hoping somebody would be there that way, be open and honest. You know, I find it sort of crazy. We don't, Kenneth, welcome, Kenneth. It's great to see your icon pop up. Thank you very much for joining us this evening. And like I said, jump in the thread and just go for it, because it's really, we're talking about babies, which is a push now to not have a gender identification of an infant from the age of 0 to 4 years old. And at 4 years old, let them decide what they want to be. Anyway, that's what I brought up as a topic, but you guys can talk about what you want to also and bring it on in. So Candace, welcome to the show. It's great to see you. Thank you so much for being there. Yeah, I find it rather disconcerting. One, that parents would fall for this. That's kind of interesting to me. That's it's just kind of weird. I just don't know. And I don't have, I'm not sure which direction to go with this, because it doesn't make sense to me. So I have to deal with something here now that is absolutely, I don't quite understand it. Rita says that like a 4-year-old has the capacity to decide something like that. Yeah, to determine its own, what it believes it should be. I think that if parents simply raise their kids regardless, and and allow the child to go ahead and express itself when it gets to an age where it starts to understand what it is doing, and then at least be open and honest with the child. I mean, I remember it was not that long ago, it still occurs today, where you simply browbeat the child into conforming. You're a boy, so we'll just browbeat you till you recognize that you're a boy. And I don't think that that's correct at all. I think allowing the child to grow into its own self, and I think that that's part of the importance of it all, is to just let the child grow into its own self, and then be open and honest and ready to be prepared for whatever the child may decide as it grows up. And I think that that's really where the issue lies, not so much having a gender, nondescript gender classification, so parents don't have to feel uncomfortable or feel guilty because it's raised it as a girl and the girl wants to be a boy. Why don't just allow and have the open communication back and forth and raise the child to be open and to have the ability to go ahead and say, hey, wait a minute, I really question what I really want, or what I want to be, and then let the parent then be that way. Encouraging is what I'm saying. So Dana says, for parents who partake in this BS are the same who abuse their children. Yep, like those with that's it, with the syndrome, and they want something to talk about and get attention, and they are using their children. It's almost like a mental illness. In fact, I think this whole process of control, this whole process of being controlled, of being told by the powers that be how we're supposed to live our life, us doing that is got to be a mental illness. Mary says the state wants us to turn the children over to the village to be used. 1984 all over again. Thank you, Joseph. There it is. It is coming around. And it is really frustrating, because we're not stupid, and when you recognize and realize that you're being manipulated into doing something, at some point somebody's going to get their dander up, and then they're going to be dealing with more hostility. And of course, they've got the rules in there to keep that from happening. So I think it's almost like it's being set up that if you argue this, then we can take your kid away. It'll be interesting to see what happens. Mary says that so I guess when people have sonograms, the technician can't tell them whether it's a boy or girl. And if you have to wait and ask the baby, pretty much that's what it sounded like. That when the baby's born, you simply just ignore its plumbing, and you just simply allow it to be whatever it wants to be, and let it announce itself later on down the road when it's 4 years old. And again, I don't quite get that, but that's, that was the discussion that was going on, and I think it's very interesting. Rita says, and Mary, I agree with you in that the powers that be are wrestling their way into taking over parenting of the kids, lessening the parental control and directing the kiddos to being state children. And that I don't think is very far fetched. I think that that's really part of it. You really look at just about any reason at all, they can take your child away. I mean, it's just amazing that it'll get to be where if you go against a policy of the government, that's fine, that's great. You're not a worthy parent. We're going to take your kids away. I mean, who knows where this ends and what that can of worm opens up. This topic hurts my heart and head. Yeah, Yves, John, I have to agree. Like I said, it was tough for me to get started on it because it's just so far-fetched. The same things the Nazi did, Hitler did. Yeah, it's all happening. It's all re-going. It's just we were repeating and repeating and repeating again, going at it the same way we've done it throughout history, and it's like we just haven't learned. We just don't apply ourselves, perhaps. Parents, if you have that open line of communication, you're talking to your kids, you understand where they're coming, and parents can understand what direction their kids are going, and I think having the open heart, the open mind, and the non-prejudiced views, and allow the child to be what it wants to be, that's great. But to have a policy, to have a law that would eliminate you from even identifying it's a boy or a girl. I mean, nothing goes on the birth certificate. I mean, wow. I mean, there is a physical, and then a physical orientation, and then there is an emotional orientation. I don't see why the emotional orientation overrules the physical. The plumbing tells you what's going on, and that's sort of strange. It really is. Let's see. Dana says the children's cognitive development continues throughout their life. Formal thinking, yeah, there you go, and that's part of the issue. And who knows? At some point in time, they think they're this, and so that's what they're going to announce, and then they change their mind a week later. Lee says, I believe that our personalities are nothing more than DNA and memories. How can you decide if you're forced to be a blank slate for 4 years? That decision has to come from somewhere, and a big decision to put on a 4-year-old shoulder. Absolutely, it is. It's ludicrous. It's really ludicrous to have to do that. Janet, welcome to the show. It's great to see your icon pop up. Thank you for joining us. Dana says we need to protect our children. They are our future. The elite want them confused and incompetent. Yes, and that's absolutely true. And it is frustrating. It is extremely frustrating to see something so blatant to come out like that. And I again, there's no way that people can stand up and allow that. It's just crazy. Mary says, so how do they want to define the terms male and female? If you can't use their plumbing and you can't use a chromosome test, I think it's perhaps you just simply don't use the terms at all, and we just become human, and therefore there is no male or female. I don't know. I wish I had an answer for that one, Mary. I really do, but I don't. It's I don't see how they can. I don't see how you can do this and enforce it. I mean, are people going to be standing around the front door listening into the house when the child, the brother or sister who is 5 years old turns around and says, "Oh, I have a baby brother," but you're going to jail? I mean, how are they going to enforce this? This should be really interesting. How about this? You need an IQ over 60 to have a child. Licensing for anyone who wants to reproduce. And if they have a low IQ, they need to take workshops. I'm beginning to wonder. I'm wondering if that same workshop would go for the people that actually want to enforce this or want to bring this up as a possibility. That's the ones I really would like to see checked for IQ. Let's see. Marcia says, I am sure it responds to a very malefic plan where the mentalists are thirsty for power. And yeah, and Jan says, that's just such crap. It really is. I mean, we're dealing with something that has been natural, a nature thing, all of our existence. And now all of a sudden we can't do this. And what happens when you buy a dog? Is that going to carry over to being animals? Pets? I mean, we can't talk about what it is. I don't get it. I mean, I believe in treating everybody equal, and I believe that there should be no differentiation or separation of us because of color or because of our religion or because of our political party. There should be no definition breakdown of that, and we should be all one, and we should be able to understand and get along with everybody with that, regardless of what side of the aisle you sit on or what side of the religion you stand on. It should be all. We should all understand we are part of the human race, but it doesn't go down to saying, so what are you? I can't see that. To me, that's going to be, I mean, treating both sexes equally. Yes, absolutely. Treat both sexes equally. That is a must. I mean, that is a requirement. This 2/3 pay for women versus the man. That all that has to go away. But identification based on gender, I'm sorry. I think that's great. That's insane. Dana says it's unnatural. Even nature and language have male and female. It's all very unnatural. Yes, it is, Dana. It is extremely ludicrous. It is just so against nature. Mary says yes, and all one race. Amen. Absolutely right, Mary. Thank you very much. Joseph says it comes down to humans wanting control of every facet of life, total control. Joseph, absolutely true. And that's it. When the powers that be can dictate how you're going to refer to your children, it's done. It is done. They have won and got the control that they want, and there's bloody nothing that anybody can do. And I think that that's really the direction I think that we're being pushed to go. And it's very possible. And again, may also be just simply a test. It may be just a test to see how we're going to react. What is it that we're going to say? Are we going to fight back? I mean, that's the thing. A lot of times things are put out there, announced to be just to see if we're going to react. If we're going to react, they say, okay, we'll put it on the back burner for 5 more years and let's see what we can do. And in the meantime, we're going to go ahead and push and push and push to try to convince them that this is what we need to do. And then they'll represent it again. And if people react, no, we'll put it back on the burner again for another 5 years, and we'll keep pumping and pumping and pumping to get the people to convince. And finally, they represent it and says, oh yeah, okay, yep, this sounds great. I mean, we deal with this all the time with a lot of the things that we go on. I mean, a lot of the policies, a lot of the laws that get activated are because they've scared us into it. They lay out all the fears and all of the what ifs, and we clamor and want to give up our rights so that we're protected. Well, that's part of the issue, and they know that we do this. But and I think this may just be a push to see where it's going to go with it. Rita says, in my heart of hearts, I just cannot believe people are going to be sucked into this nonsense. Well, and I would love to agree with you too, Rita. I would hope that that's the case, but I won't say enough. I don't have the faith in people that everybody else may have. It's hard. Janet says, no kidding, Rita. What is wrong with people these days? There you go. Thank you very much, Joseph. And then off to the re-education camp for you. Yep, reprogram, strip the education, strip the knowledge, and let's reprogram. Dana says it's the tap water. There you go. Yes, that's it. And it is another broadcast. You're absolutely right, Dana. It's something we could talk about. Everything that's going on here. What's causing us to do this? Mary says, I want to be in the same bunkhouse as you guys, but I don't know if I will be in the male or female ward. I haven't decided yet what I want to be. I'll let you know when I grow up, Mary. I'll let you know. I like that. That's good. We take the absurdity to the nth degree, I think, on a lot of these things, and I think that's part of the problem. We entertain this stuff, and it's really sad that that's the direction we go. I don't. I guess I wonder, Mary, does that mean then that if we decided we could just never declare it and say we never grew up? I wonder if that may be the case. I wonder maybe that might be a way around that, to say, hey guys, I'm just never going to grow up. I'm going to be a kid the rest of my life, and I don't care what it is. I'm not going to worry about what sex it is. I don't know. Yeah, it's crazy. It's just absolutely crazy. So yeah, I just thought it was rather humorous. It was a rather an interesting thing to see come up, actually get posted as and an interview. And it just surprised me to see that. But yeah, it's interesting, very interesting. I was trying to picture my brother now with his beard now for the winter time, as with not declaring him as a male. It just doesn't quite cut it. I just don't understand. It'd be interesting. Dana Lee says the science manipulation creation. Yes, exactly. The manipulating creation. That's exactly what it's doing. It can't seem to create life, so it's going to manipulate it every way it can. John says it's going to get to the point where the lines are blurred so much, everyone's going to have to ask what pronoun to call each other before we even engage in conversation. And I think that was even brought up a little bit earlier, that is part of the direction. We almost have to say, okay, give me a list of what it is what's acceptable to you as far as being as pronouns, and I'll have to avoid all the other ones. Well, Brian brought it up. And it's almost ridiculous, but that's the direction we're going. I guess that falls under political correctness, but I'm not a political correctness kind of guy anyway. So it's really kind of sad to see these things going. Joseph says, like the fella in the Netherlands wants to be 46 years old. We are creating ourselves in an environment that we, once you do this, you can't get out of it. You're stuck. And I think that's, the old adage, be careful what you wish for, because you might get it. And I think that may fall into this thing. This could be one of those things that just absolutely falls into that category. Be careful what you wish for, because you just might end up with it. So it's going to be interesting to see how things go. Because I think that it is something that we're going to have to face somewhere down the road here, since they're bringing it up already. But it falls into the bailiwick of a ton of things that we have to deal with to survive on this planet. And survival isn't hard enough, but now we have all of these constraints on us, and it becomes even much more difficult to really live our lives. And then we have to deal with more stress, more concerns, like we're not stressed enough, and that's causing us to be ill as it is, just living under that constant state of stress. So it is getting to the point to where it is almost unmanageable now, and to now go through, and like Brian says, gosh, for God's sake, people, wake up and just mortal up. Just stop being so thin-skinned about everything, and stop the real wussy ways of dealing with things. Get out there and start being who you are, because that's what we need to do. And now we have things that are being discussed that, well, you really can't say who you are. I mean, talk about confusion. There's so much going on that we can. Hi, Matt, how you doing, man? Welcome to the show. It's great to see you. Thank you so much for joining us. But yeah, it's sad. Yeah, John says it's sad future when we can't identify men from women. I know it's almost ludicrous. Like I said, it's insane. When Matt, what we're talking about is the conversation that was out on the internet about the babies, have children being 0 to 4 years old and not identifying them. They won't, on their birth certificate, will not have a gender specificity identifying themselves. So they will simply be nothing until they, at 4 years old, they can choose for themselves what they want to be classified as. Wow, it's but that's what we're talking about. So just to keep you up to speed, it is hard. It is very tough to realize that that's what we're doing, and we're allowing this stuff to continue and to go down this path. I don't understand it. I don't get it. And sometimes I'm glad to not be around there. But what goes on in the United States ends up going around elsewhere in the world too. So it'll be interesting to see if this pops up in Ecuador. I'll be kind of curious myself. So we'll see how things fly with that. But yeah, I thought it was an interesting subject. So I just thought I'd throw it out there for you. So thank you very much for participating. I really appreciate it. Boy, and you guys really did participate. I like that. Yeah, and remember, we're going to try to run this as if every day pretty much is a free-for-all. So if there's something that you guys want to talk about, just put it up there on the thread. We'll talk about it. And I mean, I'll come up with a topic, but we don't have to necessarily stay with that topic. I mean, if it's something I really think is important that we have to do, then I will make sure I state that. But to me, everything is plastic. Everything can flow either way. And it's more for your enjoyment and your interest rather than just for me to sit here and talk to you or talk at you. So I like the idea of being able to have this back and forth. And that's why I say to everybody out there who's listening on the radio, don't think you're left out of this discussion. Email me. Just email me, henry@henrygnoel.com. And we'll bring it up and we'll talk about it. I will write back to you. And because I think it's important enough that everybody gets their opinions out there. So that's where we want to go with this. So Rita says, excuse me while I go take my BP. Yeah, I'm going to have to start taking antidepressants, I think. I'm not sure exactly where this is going. That or I got to get the plumber's, my plumber's license so I can try to figure out how we're going to dig ourselves out of this cesspool. I'm not really sure which way to go. Backhoe time, I think. So it's a crazy subject. It's a crazy thing to be going on, but it is. People are actually discussing this. So Marcia says, thanks to the universe, I was born the days. Yep, that didn't have has tiempo make a decision. That's right. When you don't have to worry about that. Thank you. You're right. That is what's so critical. I mean, yeah, I'm so much happier to have less time in front of me than I did behind me. I don't have to really be around to see this stuff, but it'll be crazy. Oh, I just got the signal from my brother, so we got 1 minute. So I'll start to say the goodbyes and all that, so we can finish on time. Again, I want to thank everybody for coming on over and listening to the show. I greatly appreciate it. To me, it's wonderful, and it's a pleasure to have you guys listening. And I thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. I really appreciate everything that you're doing and all the support. Thank you. And like I said, we'll plan it for opening the launch, keeping things going. Whatever you guys want to talk about, we'll leave that go as every day if you would like, and we'll just do what we can do. So with that, I'm going to say, have a great evening. We will see you tomorrow night, and talk at you again tomorrow. And hopefully you talk right back at me. So I appreciate that. Hasta luego, everybody. Hasta mañana. Have a great one.